How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to do my review of Thor Love and Thunder. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, so don't worry about spoilers. And if you have seen this movie, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this movie. I just ask that you keep your comments spoiler-free for those who haven't seen this movie. And if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers and I need 44 more subscribers as of this video to reach that goal. So if you subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. Now with that out of the way, let's get into this review. So Thor Love and Thunder is the latest movie from the MCU and is directed by Taika Waititi and stars Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman, and Christian Bale. And this movie seems to really be dividing fans, and I can see why after seeing this movie. And I saw it with my friend last night, and my friend seemed to quite enjoy it, which I'm really happy for him. But for me, I just thought it was okay. It's not bad. It has some good moments for sure, and there's definitely heart in certain parts of this movie, but ultimately I was let down. This is a bottom tier MCU movie for me. I was really hoping it was going to be great after Thor Ragnarok, which I absolutely loved. When Thor Ragnarok came out, it felt like a breath of fresh air, because the previous two Thor movies, I do enjoy Thor and Thor the Dark World. I do enjoy them, but they're kind of forgettable with the MCU movies. They're not the best, and it wasn't quite working for a lot of people with that character, so they changed it up, and Thor Ragnarok really upped the game for Thor, in my opinion. He was more jokey for sure, but I thought he was still a really good character, and it was just a lot of fun. They balanced the humor with some emotional moments fairly well in Thor Ragnarok, but it felt fresh, it was fun. In this movie, I think they were going for that again, but I just didn't feel it. It didn't feel fresh, and well, this movie definitely leads into the silliness a lot more than Ragnarok did. The silliness, for the most part, didn't bother me. There are some moments where it went too much for my liking, but it wasn't really the silliness that got me. It was the fact that the majority of the jokes actually did not work for me, which was surprising, because usually in the MCU movies, you know, they're not focused on comedy. When there is comedy, usually it works. In this one, there were some good jokes here and there, but for the most part, they weren't landing for me, which was really disappointing, and just surprised, because it's, you know, Chris Hemsworth is great in the comedic roles, and it's the same director, so I would have thought it would have been great again. There's definitely good moments. There's some funny moments with Zeus, played by Russell Crowe. There's some good laughs with these goats, and there's some good laughs with Stormbreaker. I won't go into detail about that, but what they do with Stormbreaker, there's some good laughs at the start, but what they were doing, I thought they just dragged it on too long. After a while, I just sort of got, yeah, okay, we've had this already. And there are a few sort of running jokes that sort of felt like that. In this movie, Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, comes back. She was in the first two Thor movies, but not in the Thor Ragnarok. She comes back in this, and this is not a spoiler, because the actress Natalie Portman talked about this. Her character has cancer and somehow gets the power of Thor, and that's explained in the movie, and I thought their explanation for it was good. And I thought she was really good in the role in this. And there's some nice moments between her and Thor. But there's some comedic stuff they were going with, that dynamic, that for me just came off as kind of just awkward. I think that was the point, but I think they were doing it too much, that it just wasn't too enjoyable. But there's some moments with them that are not funny that were really good. And there was actually a lot of heart to them. And I sort of feel this movie would have been a bit better if they dialed back the silliness for a bit more emotion and a bit more seriousness. Didn't need to be something like the original Thor or Thor the Dark World, more along the lines of Thor Ragnarok, because that one's not as silly as this one. So I think if they dialed it back a bit, had more room for more emotions and just a bit more seriousness, it could be better. And there definitely are moments that are serious, mainly with the villain Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale. And for me, when this movie did have great moments, it was always with Gore the God Butcher. And the way Christian Bale played him, I thought was just amazing. He sort of, you understand why he's doing what he's doing, but he's also kind of possessed. He's kind of creepy, but he's sort of like insane, but having fun with what he's doing. I sort of felt that from him. Like he's having fun with certain people. Sort of reminded me of like Heath Ledger's Joker a bit, or even Pennywise from It, where he's like enjoying what he's doing. At times I sort of felt that, and he was just very like creepy. The scenes they had him in, it was great, and I was worried those tones, because it was silliness and then serious, I was worried those tones wouldn't work in the same movie, but for the most part they do, because those two tones are for like all but one scene I felt were kept separate. There's one scene at the start where they sort of got more serious and sad emotions plus goofiness in the same scene, just going back and forth, and that felt off to me, and that may have been what they're going for, but I just didn't care for it. But the rest of the time I thought it worked very well. And there's a great scene towards the end when the heroes meet up with Gore and they're, you know, interacting. I won't go into detail what happens, but I thought it was a really great scene. The action in this is pretty good as well, especially towards the end. There's some good stuff. In the very last battle, though, there's some stuff that my friend liked. It has to do with like kids and Thor doing this certain thing. My friend liked it. I kind of rolled my eyes at it. I didn't really care for it, but I think a lot of people are going to be like that. Some people like it. Other people like me, not so much. There's another MacGuffin in this movie called Eternity, I believe, and it wasn't a fan of it, especially like I won't go into detail what it is or what it does, but once you know what it does, you're sort of like, you sort of look back on events in some of the previous movies a little differently, like why didn't they just do this, but whatever. So yeah, overall, while there's definitely some good heartfelt moments between Thor and Jane, there are some good jokes that I enjoyed, and there's some fun action. It's just a movie that I'm not going to remember very much of, because like most of the jokes just did not work. This movie, it's weird, it's 2 hours long, so for an MCU movie, fairly short, but there are several scenes from like this scene's just dragging on. So I wish they sort of edited it a bit different. Also, I wanted to see more of Gore the God Butcher, because when he was there, he was great, but I just wanted to see a bit more of some certain stuff to make him feel like more of a threat and more of a menacing presence. But yeah, and I think they should have dialed down the silliness, although it didn't bother me as much as some people. I think it would have been better to just have more room for some more genuine emotions, maybe a bit more seriousness in some points. I think that would have been a bit better. And just overall, I think for me they just went a little too far, so that I just wasn't enjoying it all the time. And the sort of best way I felt about it is it just lost that freshness of what made Ragnarok fun and kind of special. I just felt like they were missing that in this one. So like I said, it's got some good moments. There is some fun in it. But for me, it's a forgettable movie. It's not one I'm going to remember. It's sort of like the first two Thor movies. While I have fun watching them, they're not ones that are going to stick in my mind for very long. So that's sort of how I feel about this one, which is really too bad and kind of surprising when it's Taika Waititi who did Thor Ragnarok. So yeah, unfortunately, it's a bottom tier MCU movie for me. I'm going to give Thor Love and Thunder a 65%. And again, if you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section. Just keep your comments spoiler free. And again, if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned for some of my upcoming reviews. I think tomorrow The Gray Man comes out on Netflix. I'm going to hopefully watch that and do a review for that. And then I'll be continuing my James Bond movie reviews with Casino Royale. So stay tuned for those. And until my next review, take care everybody.